ladies and gentlemen. We are coming back here for Game 3 of 5 of our Starladder Season 8 Day 4 coverage here on Beyond the Summit. I'm Zyori. With me once again is Merlini, and oh boy, do we have a good one for you guys here. Virtus Pro facing off against the super strong dinosaurs. Merlini, what is the good word here coming into Game 3 of the day?
Firstly, we have Yamaha standing in for Illidan, I believe. Looks like he was having some issues. But so VP's lineup will consist of AA, ars-art, Yamaha, G, Jodam, and I don't know who the last guy is.
I don't either, and I don't think I can look at their profile till we go into the game. He was just a smiley face when we were in the lobby, and then he was ordered to change his name to his true identity, which is an enigma. He's just Virtus Pro. He is the team. So we'll see who he is once we get into the match. We'll check out that Dota profile. So I've looked at the statistics for this. Not as one-sided as I would have thought. Virtus Pro with about a 60% fan favorite there. I thought it would be maybe a little more lopsided in favor of VP, but should be a pretty even match. We'll see if the fans are right. But yeah, these bans and picks a little bit different from what we've been seeing here. SSD going to take out the supports, Veno and Visage, and VP going to ban out Lich and the Mirana. Mirana going to be first banned here, not something we've seen a whole lot of, and that will open up for some scary first picks that didn't come out onto the field. Crystal Maiden grabbed first, Timbersaw and Rubik picked up by SSD, and then a second pick, Outworld Devourer for Virtus Pro. Interesting draft already, Merlini.
Yeah, I think it's decently well warranted to ban out Priestess of the Moon, just because in this... it doesn't really seem like a lot of people punish the early Potom pick. You can just 5-man a lot early and just make Potom fight, and she usually dies because she's not actually that great at fighting early. She's good at ganking and fighting, but like 5-on-5, she's not that strong, and she's not that strong as a carry. But a lot of teams just let her farm from the split push and do her thing, like we saw last game, which is a really big issue.
Yep. Exactly, and she really can transition into that late game hard carry if farm allows. Again, last game was really a great example of what Mirana can do if left unchecked. What's interesting to me is the Rubik second pick. That's really kind of a characteristic of our current meta right now.
5 seconds remaining.
Yeah, it is. It's very unusual, and I've seen Come With Me played a few times, and sometimes it does not work out that well. I saw him go boots first last time versus a Queen of Pain in a tri-lane, and he ended up just like feeding miserably. So I'm a little bit worried for Come With Me in this matchup.
Yeah, but OD second pick, we've seen plenty of him. As of late, quite the showing at MLG Columbus, as we mentioned, rejuvenating some of the life into the Outworld Devourer. So excited to see him here by Virtus Pro. They are going to ban out Alchemist and then Razor. Of course, Razor, one of those heroes that does work quite nicely against OD, and we've mentioned this a few times in the past. There are some other heroes that do pretty well against him, but very few that just legit shut him down and stop that OD from getting out of control. I also want to ask you about that third ban from SSD, taking Lion out of the pool before banning out the Clockwork. Any thoughts about a third Lion ban?
Lion's really good versus Timbersaw. I don't think he's that great of a pick in most circumstances. He's very good versus Weaver, very good versus Timbersaw, and I think it's unusual to ban him out this early just because there are other solutions for Timbersaw. But yeah, there's not too many other good supports that are that excellent at killing him in the mid game.
10 seconds remaining.
So SSD here can have their opportunity for some third pick action. Still a lot of options on the board. I'm trying to think of second picking a Rubik, if that's indicative of anything, a strategy that they may reveal for us, but not much is coming to mind, to be frank.
Yeah, I think that, like, I guess there aren't that too many other strong supports. A lot of them were banned out. Lich, Visage, and Venomancer were the first 3 banned out, so I guess it's not that big of a deal that they picked up a Rubik instead of anything else.
Yeah. And, of course, Lifesteal are going to be that third pick there. He does pair quite nicely with the Timbersaw. A bit of mobility for that Infest initiation power that Lifestealer brings to the table. And Abaddon now going to be that third pick for Virtus Pro to go with their OD and Crystal Maiden.
Yeah, Abaddon, OD, we did not see a Viper ban. So I think if VP picks Viper right now, like SSD is kind of boned because Lifesteal just gets owned by Viper. You just keep Viper striking him the whole entire time, and you can't really do anything about it. Other than that, yeah, there's not really. I mean.
If VP was to grab Viper, what are you thinking in terms of laning? If you have an OD and a Viper on the same team, who has mid priority?
Oh, you can go like dual lanes with that
dual
perfectly.
Lanes?
Yeah, it's perfectly acceptable to do dual lanes with that.
Gotcha. So, we'll see what SSD want to grab here. I mean, I guess they could be considering the Viper themselves. Could always throw that Timbersaw in the off lane, grab yourself a Viper mid, and just grab a 5th pick support to round off their roster. Certainly something that they could do if they were so interested.
Yeah. I think they give OD mid though. OD's needs farm, I think, much more badly than Viper does, and levels. Viper can get away with not having that much, especially with the Abaddon support. But OD, like you really want your seeing these clips hitting real hard.
Yeah, and that also makes me wonder what SSD are thinking about picking here to try and deal with that OD. How about the OD Timbersaw mid matchup? How does Timbersaw? I guess it's a moot point here as they do grab Magnus fourth pick. So all right, redirect OD versus Magnus. Who do you like in that matchup?
OD has a huge favorite.
Yeah, I would say so as well. Even though Magnus is an int, still gets some of that auto attack damage. Doesn't stop OD from getting that int buff where he gets that nasty auto attack, and of course limits what Magnus can do because he's going to have that little tiny peanut mana pool and not going to give him too much utility. So an interesting pick from SSD. I wonder.
Yeah, Magnus is just you haven't really seen too much of him lately at all. It really does take an exceptionally strong Magnus player. Snakings is not bad though. Snakings Magnus is decent.
Oh, and there's that Viper that you were talking about.
Why don't you ban him out, man? Ugh. Gotta ban him out, SSD.
Especially if you want a lifestealer. It's like you said, one of the banes of lifestealer's existence is not being able to get up in your face, getting kited around, and Viper is a hero that does just that. Oh, going to be a little bit difficult. I worry about this draft from SSD here just already. I like what Virtus Pro have on the field so much more. Even their supports, Crystal Maiden and Abaddon, I think, going to work nicely here as well.
Yeah, I worry a lot for their picks too.
Yeah, I want to be too one-sided here. I see someone in chat just asking, is Zai Mzai from Han? Yes, indeed it is. That is that ex-Han player, Mzai. He's a young German fellow. I think he's like 15 or something. He's one of those, like, prodigy level.
He's a really good offlane player.
Yeah, too. I wish I was good at anything at that age, other than being lazy. When did your competitive career take off, Merlini? What were you doing at 15? Were you tearing up the competitive Dota
15,
ranks?
I had not 14? Started playing Dota. 15 was a long time ago. 15
yeah, I feel
was 2002. I was still in high school. I think Warcraft 3 had just come out in like 2001, I think. So it hadn't been out for very long.
Yeah. So final ban's going to come out. SSD going to ban out the Weaver, and Chen going to be the final ban for Virtus Pro. I forgot about Chen. Chen's another hero that hasn't gotten a lot of love recently. Not really banned or picked all that often. Always sad. I love seeing some good Chen action. And
yeah. It really takes a good Chen player, though. I think, like, generally in, like, lower tier, these aren't, like, tier 1 teams. You have to pick heroes that are way easier to execute. Like, Lifesteal is really easy to execute. Timbersaw is fairly easy, too. OD, Abaddon, Viper. These are all, like, pretty, you know, there's a lot of room for error in these.
Yeah. So Enigma going to be that final pick for SSD. We see their draft kind of coming to life here a little bit. A lot of AoE synergy between the RP, the Black Hole, everything that Timbersaw does, and anything that Rubik's going to be able to steal. Not that there's a hell of a lot of AoE on Virtus Pro, but a good team fight roster. I just more worry about the laning phase. Are they going to be able to survive the laning phase to even pull off this kind of, quote, wombo combo, kind of in that mid to late game? Enigma, another one we haven't seen a hell of a lot of recently because teams tend to be very well stationed about not grouping up and allowing for easy black holes. But here we go. Dro Ranger going to be the 5th and final hero for Virtus Pro to go with their Viper, Abaddon, OD, and Crystal Maiden.
What?
Woo!
What?
A little bit of silence utility on that. Maybe not too bad of a choice. How are they going to lane this, though? It's got to be a 2-1-2 here coming out, I'd imagine. CM Dro, OD mid, Abaddon Viper.
I'm still like, what, Dro? Like, when have we seen that hero use? She's all right. I don't really think she's that good versus Lifestealer, and she's not that good versus Timbersaw either because both of them can just like get up in her face and pretty much take away her aura. Her silence is nice, but yeah, I don't know. Well, we'll see how it works out for them.
Yeah, an interesting pick for sure. One of the great things about Dro is that she does, of course, get a little bit out of control, and the precision aura. I always get the auras confused because some of them are global, some of them aren't. The precision aura is not global. It's an actually legit radius aura around her. Is that correct, or am I mistaken here, Merlini?
Sorry?
Her aura, it's not global. It's like a real aura.
You can activate it global now. They changed it so it used to be global, and then they nerfed it so that it's not global, and now you can activate it. 120 seconds affects creeps for 30 seconds when cast.
Okay, but you can never use it global on heroes. Okay, I understand. I was looking at that. Affects creeps 30 seconds. That was a mechanic that I was... are we going to have a remake here? Is that the... okay. All right, so we are going to have a remake coming up, folks. So you're going to have to bear with us momentarily here. Okay. Again, I can't resist the urge to make myself look stupid and admit that I don't understand all the mechanics to their entirety. Oh god, that's the Power Rangers game that we just joined. Oh no. So it's going to be just a moment here, folks. The match will be underway before too long. There we go. No. All that build-up with the Dro 5th pick. Oh, I should have turned some music on. I thought that was going to be quick.
Connecting to the Dota 2 network. Uh-oh. That's not good. You can disconnect and then force in a remake easy. That might not be the best solution. I don't know. Up to you.
Well, I suppose the other option is to cast off of the ticket. We'll be 2 minutes behind, but that is an option if they don't remake here. Alright, well, we are in the game, although we're missing one of our casters here. Alright, Velat says go, so what do we do here, Merlini? Oh, wait. Oh, play? He says play. So, do I solo this? Do we just leave and cast off the ticket? What's the... I was not
sure.
prepped in my BTS notes for what to do in said scenario.
We can ask LD.
Alright,
30 seconds to battle.
Alright, LD is typing. I'm getting the good word just now, folks. Oh no. LD says, Alright, He says just cast from the ticket. So, alright, I will disconnect here. And we can do this the old-fashioned style.
Joining the game. Nice.
From the ticket, you mean?
Game from the ticket.
Okay, alright. Okay, folks. So, perfect. And that nice 2-minute delay going to catch up. So this will work out pretty nicely for us here. So we already saw the draft unfold. Of course, this is all picked. They're going to snag those heroes momentarily, and then we will get started in here, and we can talk about these drafts a little bit. Oh, stupid direct camera. Okay. So yeah, guys, sorry, we are not going to be on the in-game ticket this match. We are casting via the ticket. So we're on an extra 2-minute delay here. Our apologies, folks. Our apologies indeed. So, all right, Merlini, let's introduce our rosters. Here on the Radiant side, we got Team Virtus Pro. In the bottom, ars-art going to be playing on the Crystal Maiden. In the mid, we've got God playing on the Outworld Devourer. One of their stand-ins here, Yamaha, going to be playing on the Drow Ranger. Looks like she'll be headed down to the bottom lane to pair with that Crystal Maiden. In the top, JOTM going to be on the Abaddon. And how could we forget about Light of Heaven? Light of Heaven going to be the one on the Viper here in the top lane for a bit of 2-1-2 action. Super Strong Dinosaurs going to be on the Dire side. Going to have Sneaking on the Lifestealer here in the top lane. Going to be joined by Peter Pan Dam on that Rubik. In the mid, it is indeed going to be Arise playing on the Magnus. Going to have a jungling Enigma here played by Come With Me. And last but certainly not least, Zai going to be the off-lane player on that Timber Saw in the bottom lane.
This is fairly even draft, I'd say. Maybe the only thing that is a little bit strange is the Drow Ranger. I guess if you pick up Rubik early, it is nice to have a Mag and Enigma to back it up. They could have banned it out, but taking it for themselves was not a bad idea by any means. The only problem is I don't really think they have that much damage to deal with Viper plus Abaddon plus OD. That's just going to be a big pain in the butt. And they actually have some protection for Drow Ranger because a lot of times she just gets focused on really, really fast. I think having defensive Astral as well as the Abaddon support is going to work out really nicely versus VP.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're right, and I like the 2-1-2 coming out for Virtus Pro. This is a good game for it, because with Enigma dedicated to the jungle, that limits what SSD can do to try and rotate a tri-lane aggressively into these other lanes, or if they see Viper starting to get farm, or the Drow Ranger starting to get farm. One of the issues I see with this for Virtus Pro that could backfire is they just need a lot of farm to get rolling. Viper, OD, and Drow all really need farm to take off, and up in the top lane already, Light of Heaven going to be in big trouble. Rubik does have a double damage rune on, the telekinesis to start things off. He's going to fall. JOTM going to make his way up here. Not even going to use the aphotic shield. Oh no, now JOTM possibly in a little bit of trouble here, but now going to be able to make it back. That cooldown on telekinesis longer than I had initially thought, but an easy first blood coming out for the Super Strong Dinosaurs.
Yeah, it's nice for them. It's actually Come With Me playing the Enigma instead of the Rubik that I saw last time, man. Yeah, early DD from them. I mean, they scouted out. I don't know where Abaddon was, and PPD doing a fantastic job of zoning JOTM out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely right. So, wow, and Arise in the mid lane taking a huge amount of damage from God on that OD. Forced to burn his Solve already. Does have two pulled tangos coming his way, but not off to a good start. OD 6-2 against the 3-0 Magnus. Has grabbed a couple of those creep kills at least. Things are going to get a little bit worse for him as the levels come up and that insteal becomes a bit more powerful. Let's check on the bottom lane, see how the Drow Ranger is faring up against the Timber Saw here, and seems to be doing just fine. 8-3 up against the 1-0 Timber Saw, so Zai actually getting zoned out a little bit here, though going to find a bit of farm as the creeps do shove into the tower. Talk to us about Drow a little bit. What's her laning presence like? What are her pitfalls? What should we expect seeing a Drow on the field, as it is a rarity?
She is a very lackluster hero, in my opinion. I don't think she's a good hero at all. She works well sometimes in like push lineups. For the most part, she just doesn't really do that much. She needs a lot of farm to ramp up. She kind of has to get a BKB. Her ultimate has a chance of just being absolutely useless. I don't particularly like the hero too much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's a pretty low skill cap, I think, with kind of a passive ultimate, the semi-passive aura now technically used, as we talked about, to give that aura to creeps on 120-second cooldown. So part of the reason why she synergizes so well with those pushing strategies, as you mentioned. But, I mean, the AoE silence sort of similar to that Crobulus silence. a good little bit of utility. At least she brings something to the table other than just raw damage. But yeah, not a hero really known for her prevalence, I suppose. Seems to be a hard hero to balance. She's either like kind of imbo with damage, or she's just garbage tier because she doesn't bring enough to the table. Hard to get her into that sweet spot where she's actually viable and not too powerful.
Garbage here. Yeah, she's kind of there. I mean, I have seen her met with some success sometimes too, but she does really need a lane to thrive in too. Like, she is very vulnerable to just getting tri-laned and destroyed in the early game.
But here we go, a little wraparound coming up on the top lane. Come with me on the Enigma, going to be smoked up. Does have only level 1 Malphite right now, but is going to use it on the Abaddon. They're going to dive this tier 1 tower. Telekinesis going to be used, and Sneaking going to go in, going to get those right clicks off. That's going to be an easy kill. A Photic Shield going to come out right before he falls, but in the end, not going to be enough to keep him alive, and that will make it 2-0 here at the 3.5 minute mark, and it's not over quite yet. Light of Heaven may get initiated on that. Malphite's going to be used, not going to have the follow-up damage, so they do cut this lane, and now this top tier 1 tower going to take a lot of pressure. Glyph going to be burned right away, but still SSD well on their way to a fast tier 1 tower kill here in this best of 1 series.
Yeah, they're doing very well in the top lane, and Light of Heaven with that early death, now JOTM2. This lane has just not gone as well. It's a pretty good lane. You just can't get off to a really poor start. The DD into First Blood is just exactly what is just the worst thing that can happen to them in that lane. Looks like G's doing pretty well in mid though, 23-8 compared to Max 13-0, picking up a DD2. And bottom lane, Dro is doing okay. It looks like 13-10 compared to Timbersaw is 8-1.
Yeah, one of the nice things about Dro down there, though, is that she's been in basically a solo lane. ars-art on that Crystal Maiden has been jungling to try and level out some of that laning advantage SSD has had with a dedicated jungler, and he's doing pretty well for himself. ars-art is level 3, about halfway to level 4. He is out of mana potions now, but, you know, showing us why Crystal Maiden is a great pick here. Looking at that gold graph, SSD off to a nice lead, already upwards of about 2,000 gold, 1,000 experience. Of course, we saw that tier 1 tower die already, and now Virtus Pro going to be struggling in the top lane. Exactly right, JOTM and Light of Heaven going to be in full retreat mode. A Mistcoil already came out, a Photic Shield going to be used, or pardon me, the Mistcoil going to be used again. A Photic Shield not going to come out quite yet. Light of Heaven going to survive.
Light of Heaven, he needs corrosive skin. Like, why do you not have corrosive skin when you're that far behind?
Yeah, I think at least 1 point in that bad daddy at this point would be well spent. In the mid, Rise, pardon me, going to be in some trouble. ars-art going to rotate forward. That double damage rune you mentioned on God going to come in handy right there as they set up that kill. Not even going to burn the Sanity's Eclipse. And that's at least going to be a kill on the board here for Virtus Pro. A step in the right direction. OD kind of their saving grace at the moment. I guess Dro is doing pretty well, but OD has officially won this mid lane.
He's pretty good. He's pretty good. Oh yeah, the Dro Ranger is global for heroes too. I forgot to mention that.
Okay, that's what I was confused about. So it's global for heroes, radius for creeps, but you can make it global for creeps for 30 seconds on 120 second cooldown.
It's not radius for creeps.
Not radius. Oh, no radius for creeps at all. No radius for creeps until you activate it. Jesus, they made this simplistic aura so complicated now. Okay.
Yeah.
So global on
It's useful now. I would have liked to see it like maybe half duration and half cooldown, just because 2-minute cooldown is just insanely long for a normal spell like an aura. I mean, it's a decent spell though. OD under a lot of pressure mid, 180 HP, but looks like she'll be. Ooh, gee, is he gonna die? Zai wrapping around. He is not level 6 though. Wow.
Nope.
Nice dodge.
Yeah, a window of opportunity.
Oh wait, no, he's coming back.
Zai not gonna go for it.
Okay.
He
can die though. If he gets telekinesis into a skewer back, like, he is screwed. Yep. And Magnus also has RP if he uses his regeneration rune.
ars-art could be in a little bit of trouble here. Nice block coming out from PPD. That tree goes down. A Crystal Nova going to be used, and that will be enough to buy him some time. Frostbite going to come out onto the Rubik. Now God coming in. He's going to chase down the Rubik. Timbersaw going to chase down the Crystal Maiden. And crafty footwork there from PPD. Going to move around the trees. Looks like he might be able to survive. Yamaha going to come out from the lane, and no kill.
Snaking's there too
on either side. Yeah, look at this. SSD looking for action. Sneaking is hungry, but yeah, not going to find what they were looking for, unfortunately.
Yamaha trying to pressure Zai.
Yep.
Wow, she is hard. I mean, having 145 damage at level 7 is pretty darn insane, especially considering she doesn't have any sort of upgraded boots too. So,
Yep.
I mean,
Oh.
I do hate on Dro a little bit, but if she gets, if she's in a position to shine too, then she can succeed. And looks like, yeah, Mag got picked off mid 0-2-0. Like Mag gets shut down in lane so easily, especially with a lane dominator like OD. I think that they should have they could have just done like an Enigma mid and then just like Soul Ring and conversion. I've seen that done before. It works okay. It's better than what's happening right now.
Yep. Yeah, that's true. So I did miss that kill, unfortunately. I think it was just a pretty classic Sanity's Eclipse, couple of right clicks, a pretty easy kill on that Magnus who had basically no int. He is level 6 now, though, so he's sort of holding his own, 2 levels down from OD, as you kind of mentioned, what we would more or less expect. If that wasn't happening, something would be
PBD smoked around back on top.
Wrong with that OD. Yeah, he smoked up. He is going to turn around, though.
Viper is so screwed.
Yeah, nah. We'll see. Looks like he's going to double back. They're going to grab that Illusion Rune, and PPD is going to head up there. Also important to note, a Hand of Midas here going to come out onto the Outworld Devourer here right around the 8.5-minute mark. But here we go. Black Hole going to be used. It's going to catch Light of Heaven and JOTM. Beautifully done. Going to be an easy double kill coming out for sneaking there on the Life Stealer. Really couldn't have gone much better. Didn't even really need PPD. I was waiting for him to initiate, but come with me. Just going to hop in, make it happen. Nothing Virtus Pro could do right there.
Yeah, Come With Me is playing a very nice inning with this game. Very active around the map. Been involved in 3 of the 4 kills and has his Midas already and about to take another tower too. And like he's level 8. He is just doing phenomenally.
Yeah, absolutely. So 4-2 here at the 9-minute mark. Let's take a look at the gold graph. How are things faring? It's actually kind of even. It's been kind of a back and forth exchange. SSD holding on to that little bit of early momentum. Of course, tier 2 tower kill gonna add up a little bit in terms of that gold graph, but all in all, still pretty even. OD dominating that mid lane so hard makes the domination from Lifestealer a little bit of a wash,
it's still a very
I think.
even game.
Yeah,
it's a 23,000 gold lead in favor of SSD, but that doesn't really mean that much because they have to keep down 3 of VP's heroes. They have to kill the OD, they have to kill the Viper, which they've been doing a lot, and they have to kill the Dro. But they haven't got any kills on the Dro, no kills on the OD either, and OD already has his Midas up too. So OD and Dro are on top of the CS board, and Enigma does have a Midas, so if he gets BKB, they can't really do anything versus BKB, and I think that is where the Enigma pick is really going to shine, because they just have nothing to do that, nothing to stop it. Maybe if they get like a sheep on OD, they can get the jump on him, but for the most part, OD should be having very good black holes.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, they don't have a lot to deal with Enigma in general without even without BKB. They've got the Dro Silence, they've got Astral Imprisonment. That's kind of it. I mean, this is a really good Enigma game, a crafty 5th pick there from SSD, no doubt. So yeah, I think you're right. Once he grabs BKB, it'll be even worse to try and set up those those good team fights, those staggered group disables. Magnus starting to make a little bit of recovery here. Looking at the net worth chart, he's par for the course, so getting a little better. Oh yeah, there it is. Zai in the middle of no man's land here in the Radiant jungle. He is level 7, gonna try and Timber Chain across, but look at that, OD at the low ground. He's like, hey buddy, not going this way, so he's gonna try and about face, of course, nowhere to go, and will be a 4 versus 1 successful kill on the poor Zai there.
Yeah, they like the Dro Silence, also the cast animation on it is really long. AA had a very nice frostbite on Zai there, but unable to get the silence off on time. He would have escaped had it not been for the OD just staring at him down the hill.
Yeah, good positioning from God right there, indeed. And, you know, this Enigma left unchecked. Enigma, if I'm not mistaken, is one of the most efficient junglers in the game if left completely unchecked. And going for a Midas this early. Jungler. You would say the most? You'd be that bold?
Yeah, I think so.
Right.
He is so good.
He is good. He is good. Just instant killing creeps. He's basically got a Hand of Midas without the extra bit of golden experience, and now with a Midas. He's number 1 on the net worth chart, and I don't see him slowing down anytime soon. Virtus Pro don't really seem to have the resources to contest this Enigma too much. He's jungling very safely here, and Virtus Pro more concerned with getting their carries farmed up than shutting down that Enigma. So look at that, an 11-minute blink, and yeah, I don't see that farm slowing down anytime soon.
Yeah, and the thing about Enigma too is you can't really contest his jungling either, because if you go fight him when he has 6 Eidolons and Malphus, you're just gonna straight up die. Like compared to another fast jungler like Batrider or something like that. Batrider, he has to wait for his Firefly cooldown. There's like 20 seconds delay in between when it expires and when it's up again. Whereas like Eidolon is pretty much constantly up, and you have to tank the creeps yourself with Batrider, so you're in a little bit of danger, and you have to stack. You don't have to do any of those with Enigma, and that's what makes him such a strong pick.
Yeah, that's a good point. Once you have the Eidolons out, they're sort of like your little protectors. They stay by, and if anyone tries to gank you, they do a pretty good amount of right-click damage. So, did see at least a double stack, if not a triple stack here, taken out by Virtus Pro, so they are doing a good job managing the map resources, as it may be. Grabbing a bit of additional farm. That Dro Ranger, man, her farm is nothing to be scoffed at. Now number 2 on the net worth chart following that stack, and OD has now taken over that leading farming role, has now picked up his 4-staff. And what's Dro going for in terms of item choices? Power treads into the Ring of Aquila and the Helm of the Dominator. So looking pretty standard so far. Any thoughts about build for Dro? I don't really know what to expect.
I'm not really sure. It's going to be difficult for her to just do damage in fights. I think she might need a BKB, but even if she has BKB, like, she can't really man fight snaking. She can't really do anything about Enigma ultimate, especially if she gets blinked on. I think she's just going to have a really tough time and just needs to power farm and just get like a ton of items, like Butterfly plus X, like Butterfly Manta or something like that, and Daedalus in order to compete into the late game. But like once Enigma has blink, which he already does, Magnus has blink too, like her marksmanship is just going to be useless, and that's why I don't like the hero. It's like your ultimate is just so useless often, and if you infest bomb her, she's just going to die, BKB or not, to just do a blink RP plus life stealer bomb. So no item is going to make her like completely safe in this mid game.
Yep. See Virtus Pro being very hesitant to take an engage right there. They did catch the Magnus out solo with a double damage, but going to choose to disengage as the supports from SSD come in and try and set something up. It looks like SSD a little bit eager to fight right here. Now that they've got Blink on Enigma and Magnus, really no reason why they can't be a little bit aggressive. If they catch somebody in a decent black hole or a decent RP, could be a good team fight. And here we go,
Magnus
PPD.
is not there, though.
Yeah, Mag not there. He ported top. PPD going to be caught. He'll be the first to fall. Not the fight that SSD were looking for. Going to prove me wrong right here as they do step a bit too far forward. Thought they'd be a little bit more passive until that Magnus made his way down, but unfortunately...
Yeah, they should have been.
Yeah. He did have that port, and he used it to get to the top lane, so not going to have that mobility to make it back. Very unfortunate, but a minor misstep for SSD. They've knocked down 3 towers, and that bit of tower gold has really helped this Magnus make a good recovery. I mean, his blink has been pretty well timed. He's also got the arcane boots as well. So
can they stall here? I don't really think that VP has a good stalling lineup, but they need to buy time for Dro Ranger to push the top tower, and there might be a simple 1-for-1 trade. Enigma actually going to head up there. Somebody can TP and just kill Yamaha. They need to kill him. He almost has his Yasha. But this tower, look at this tower just melt to her damage.
She hits pretty damn hard. I mean, already hitting for over 200 if left unchecked, of course, when that marksmanship is on. So I think this tower is destined to fall. Down it goes. She's going to grab the last hit. Come with me. Going to blink forward. There's the Malphite. Arise going to come, acting like perhaps he wants to burn an RP. Not going to need it, though. Maybe he will. The Skewer, and Skewer going to interrupt it. Phew.
She bought her Band of Evans skin in time, so not that bad for her.
And getting the tower kills. Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah. Did pull some resources, opening up a little bit of extra room for the rest of her teammates to farm. So, yeah, crafty little play for it there from that sneaky Dro Ranger, Sylvanas. PPD in the mid, going toe-to-toe with ars-art. ars-art just trying to bait him forward for JOTM and Light of Heaven to perhaps set something up, but not going to find it. And speaking of Viper, Light of Heaven has had a really slow start in this game. He did get picked off a couple of times, as we saw, but he does have a mech. So at least he's got that first core item up, a little bit of additional survivability, and we're going to see a smoke here from Virtus Pro. ars-art, JOTM, and Light of Heaven all rotating down towards that bottom lane. And they couldn't be there a moment too soon. OD perhaps in a little bit of trouble. Will use a defensive Astral. Now Zion sneaking on the defensive. It is a 4v2. They've got the tier 2 tower.
He needs to invest inside Zai.
Yep, there it is. That's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to Timber Chain away. A nice Timber Chain coming out from Zai. That will mitigate the Viper strike there from Light of Heaven. And wow, a 4 versus 2 scenario. SSD, just walk away. The power of the Timber Chain, my friend.
Yeah, G didn't need to use his defensive Astral. He could have just waited because Timbersaw had already missed his Timber Chain, and they don't really have any stuns, so he can still be free to cast it in case he does get engaged upon.
Yeah, very nicely done, though, that mobility. So, 4-5 here at the 16.5-minute mark. Again, kind of an A-characteristic matchup for the CI, the reputation that the CIS scene has amassed for itself. A very passive, farm-oriented match. 9 kills in 16 minutes, but it kind of makes sense. Looking at these rosters, both sides reasonably comfortable getting their carries farmed up here. I'm sure SSD are loving that farm that Sneaking's been able to amass thus far. He's got the armlet to go with the phase boots, and he's also got an orb of venom to get a little bit of extra damage, a little bit of additional slow. But here we go. SSD going to get a bit aggressive here. They are going to use a smoke. PPD leading the way. Zai with the surprise inside. And they're going to hop forward here. Oh, RP going to connect with God as well as AA. They're both going to get obliterated. JOTM going to be initiated on next. The ultimate comes out. Going to buy him a little bit of time here. A photic shield. Best you can hope for is the deny. Not going to find it. That's going to be a 3-0. Look at that. The power of the RP. Yeah, beautifully done.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They don't really have anything to stop these big ultimates. That's without Black Hole too. So I think SSD, their draft was a little bit better, and VP could have countered that by actually having a good laning phase, but they did not have a good laning phase. They needed all three of their lanes going well, and instead they only had 2 of them. And now Viper and Abaddon are pretty much liabilities just because they have no stuns and no disables. And if they get the jump on them, then their heroes are kind of useless because Abaddon is just going to stare at them while they get hold and or RP'd, and then Viper is just going to sit there too because he can't stop him, or he's just going to be caught himself. And he can mech, but how much did the mech do in saving the Abaddon? Literally nothing.
Right. One thing that is going well for Virtus Pro, though, I mean, Dro is starting to do pretty well. Her farm continuing to increase. Surprisingly strong given she doesn't have a Midas. Actually out-farming the Midas Lifestealer at the moment. Not by a huge margin, but still a small amount. Quite the big feat. SSD, though, they're going to take this opportunity to move into the Roche pit, and I think it will be an uncontested Roche kill. No ward coverage for our Radiant side, so I'm not sure if they're even privy to this Roshan action. Roche going to fall. Aegis going to end up in the inventory of the Lifestealer. Now, I want to talk to you about this item pickup on the Timbersaw here. He's going to go Arcane Boots straight into Blade Mail here. Any thoughts about that on a Timbersaw?
I don't think it's bad at all, especially since they don't have any BKBs. Like, OD is not going to get one anytime soon. Viper is not going to get one anytime soon, and Drow isn't going to get one either. So it's very good. They're like pretty squishy heroes. If you can use it during Sanity's Eclipse or just when Drow silences you, you don't really have to. You're not really in danger of dying. He only has 1,000 HP. And it doesn't really give him that much protection if he actually gets engaged upon, but at the same time they don't really have anything to lock him down with. They can't actually stop his blade mail use through anything. And OD 900 or 1,000 HP, and Viper less than 1,000 HP, Dro less than 1,000 HP, and Timbersaw has more HP than all 3 of them, and he can just kind of destroy them. And he needs to go HP items next. I think Bloodstone will be the next item.
Yeah, I would agree with that. He's got a little more HP, not by much, but it's still a fair point. Virtus Pro have a very squishy roster. Really, the only one that has the least bit of survivability is Abaddon, because he's nice and tanky, and Borrowed Time does help add a little bit to the mix. But yeah, very, very squishy roster here. And we saw how fast that last engage, the 3-0 with that RP, how fast those heroes melted once they got caught in the RP stun. I mean, not even an opportunity to react. So we'll see. 8-4 here as we approach the 20-minute mark. Both teams still being semi-static about farming, but the tower count way in favor of super strong dinosaurs here. 4-1, adding to their huge gold lead here. About 7,500 gold. Maybe I shouldn't say huge, but sizable gold lead. 5,000 experience lead as well. Definitely in great shape.
Yeah, they're in real good shape too. All they need to do is just use their ultimates for like 2 or 3 kills, or even just 1 kill on an important hero like OD or Dro, and they can take this mid game by storm. So SSD, they're not really under any pressure too, just because they can farm BKBs of their own. And VP, if they get BKBs, it doesn't really matter because SSD's BKBs are going to be way stronger than VP's. So it's SSD can just take it slow. They're not under any pressure. They have the ages to if they want to 5-on-5, or if VP tries to force one. But for the most part, they should be pretty safe when it comes to big engagements.
Yep. PPD gonna get a ward down, but he will pay with his life, unfortunately. Now, maybe not the best exchange, but yeah, small victory there for Virtus Pro. A little pick-me-up as they take out the Ancients, grab themselves a Rubik.
Yep.
So and SSD gonna maybe pressure this bottom tier 2 tower. They're thinking about it. They want to, perhaps trying to bait and engage. I think they could try and force these fights around their cooldowns a little bit. If they have RP and Black Hole up, kind of a golden opportunity.
Yeah, they should just use both of them.
Yeah, but come
all
with
they
me,
need
man.
to do is get Dro and OD, and that's it.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they could just be waiting for Enigma to grab that BKB. He does have the Mithril Hammer and Ogre Club about halfway to the recipe, so that could be why SSD are playing this a little bit more passively than I think they could get away with, especially with the Aegis right now, and also with the Skull Basher already on the Lifestealer. I think they could definitely afford to try and force some team fights here, but still totally within that window of time to sit back and farm and get those core items before they have to be too worried about Virtus Pro recovering. Though Dro now has a BKB, which isn't the scariest of items, but I don't know. Dro's going to start to hit pretty hard here. We've been talking about how terrible Dro is for most of this game, but Yamaha's been pretty much unchecked. Does he only have one death so far? Yeah, just that one death, and it was the one we saw in the top lane where he was able to purchase his items before going down. So his farm has been reasonably unchecked, and he is still leading the way for the Radiant side on the net worth chart. He is number 2, actually slightly ahead of OD. Again, just continuing to impress me how well he's farming without a Midas. That's the part that I'm having trouble wrapping my head around.
Yeah, that's the thing though. If she's in this position where she's been uncontested farm for pretty much 20 minutes, she is almost on top of the net worth, and she got a tower and has only died once. Like, imagine if she was pressured just even a little bit, she just can't really farm up that much, and she can't carry that hard. We'll see how well she can carry. I think if it goes late, like super late, she'll do very well, but as far as like the 30-minute engagements, especially just getting blink RP or blink back hole, she's gonna die, and she might die over here.
Yeah. It's true, some ports coming in. Come with me, looking for an opportunity. Going to use the Malphite on God. There's the Timber Chain forward. Chakram going to come out. I don't know that he's going to burn the black hole right here, but God taking a lot of damage. Arise coming around the backside. Going to have a nice skewer. That'll be the end of the OD. And Dro Ranger not going to be able to do much. As you mentioned, Magnus is such a great hero against Dro. He wants to be up in your face once he gets the blink. Yeah, kiss that marksmanship goodbye, and that's going to be 2 easy kills for SSD down there, still with the black hole available.
Yeah, and again, VP, they just overextend a little bit too far, and SSD just has to blow like their ultimates even for 1 kill would be perfectly fine. Getting 2 of their most important heroes, that is just huge for them. And SSD, they really have to just like make huge mistakes if they want to lose this game.
Yep. Definitely agree with that. They're going to grab themselves a tier 2 tower kill in the bottom lane. Tower count now going to be 5-1 in favor of Super Strong Dinosaurs. Just that 1 tier 2 tower in the mid lane remaining for Virtus Pro in terms of outer towers. They do have a glyph available here as SSD are knocking on their front door. This bottom tier 3 is going to start taking some heavy pressure. Again, there is a black hole up, so Virtus Pro need to be very cautious about how they go about trying to defend this here. They are going to burn the glyph. The 2 heroes that got picked off in the bottom lane have now respawned, and SSD just going to rotate to the mid after doing half damage to that tier 3. Looks like they may be able to finish off this tier 2. So very nicely done. Playing this very cautiously. Arise looking for a blink, skewer out. Not going to find it, but still a noble effort.
And now RP is almost up again after they already killed 2 heroes. So it's up in 30 seconds. They don't have the Aegis anymore, but they have the BKB up on Enigma, and they still can take a team fight. Like, what are they going to do versus a Blink Black Hole? Even on just 1 hero, it's still, if they get it on Enigma or, sorry, on OD or Dro, they can just win the team fight easily from there. So I don't really see VP having a good comeback mechanic aside from a super strong Drow Ranger, but even then, just like Blink RP her, Blink Black Hole her, or just Infest Bomb her. There's so many things that you can do to shut down this road that they are not really concerned about her getting really farmed.
Uh-oh, God could be in a little bit of trouble here. Arise is invisible right now, looking for an opportunity to catch out God. RP is up. There's the blink forward. Skewer back, straight into sneaking, and God going to be in big trouble here. Oh, man. Did he get bashed straight away to... Oh, no, the RP was used. Okay, I was like, wow, that was a really timely bash. He did burn the RP. So God is going to get taken out, and also the teammates of SSD, the remaining 3, do take out the last remaining outer tower, taking tower count now 6-1 in the Dire's favor. 11-5 here, the 25-minute mark. Super Strong Dinosaurs living up to their name here, Merlini. They are looking strong in this game.
Abyssal already up on Lifestealer too, so this is gonna look really, really ugly.
Yep. Indeed it is. OD going to be down for another 30 seconds. He does not have buyback. He's going to be some gold short. Come with me. Going to blink forward. He's going to burn the black hole. Only going to connect with Light of Heaven, but still Viper, a very high value target. He's going to be able to survive the duration of the black hole. Will pop the mech. Won't keep him alive for long though. That's going to be a 5 for 3 on the field right now. SSD in retreat mode. They do have a lot of low health heroes. See the aggressive Urn forward on PPD, but he does survive. OD going to be coming up in just about 5 seconds here, so I don't think Super Strong Dinosaur is going to press their luck. But still, another free kill coming their way as they do retreat to continue farming. Their lead continues.
Yeah, SSD just playing exactly how they should. Just use hole on 1 hero. It doesn't even matter. He got it on Viper. He almost got 2, but as long as they don't incur like heavy casualties and at least kill the hero that is hold, then they should be perfectly okay. G almost has a sheep, so that may be their ticket to get back in the game. Yamaha, he was starting off very nicely, but now 1-2-0 hit, and his farm has definitely slowed down. He was second on net worth, right next to Enigma. Now he is 3,000 net worth behind Enigma. And come with me, sometimes he plays terribly. Sometimes he plays amazingly, and this is one of the better games I've seen him in. 205 on Enigma, Midas BOTs, Blink BKB mech,
Jesus.
and he can get like a refresher soon if he wants to. And VP just really has no solution to him. I didn't really see this Enigma pick coming, but once I saw it as well as their lineup versus VP's, it was going to work out really well. He just had to execute decently, and he surpassed that expectation.
Yeah, exactly. We talked a couple of times. It's a multifaceted good pick here because Virtus.pro doesn't have a lot to deal with him. Certainly once he has BKB, no way to interrupt that black hole. And the way their lanes were set up, they really had no way to contest him in the jungle. I mean, maybe they could have put some wards down to block some spawns, but they really didn't have any room for moving those supports into the dire jungle and shut him down. So he was just left completely unchecked, and the synergy with this team is fabulous. So I absolutely agree with you. A great fifth pick that I didn't see coming, you didn't see coming, and I honestly doubt
why
Virtus.pro saw
Drow?
coming.
Why Drow Ranger? Why?
They must have had something. I don't know. I still think they were thinking about that silence as a bit of utility. That's the only thing that I can think of. If you want to go this kind of greedy, hard farming strategy with 3 farmers, there are better choices. I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's just the silence is useless versus BKBs, and
Yeah.
Magnus has a shadow play too. Like they're going to be able to get free initiates, and she's also just not good versus lifesteal at all. Like cold arrow, whatever, he just rages, and unless you get like the silence on him first, which is very very rare by the way, because rage is pretty much instant cast,
Yep.
and Drow Ranger has a little bit of cast point on her silence, so like you really need Orchid to shut down a lifestealer or like an instant cast stun like Sand King or Rubik has a pretty low cast point. Anything like that is much better than Drow's very long cast animation.
So second Roche going to be up here around the 28-minute mark. SSD going to be on top of it. They're going to move straight in. They'll get the second Roche kill of the match, completely uncontested. And yet again, the Aegis of the Immortal going to be in the inventory of the mighty Lifestealer, who, as you already mentioned, does have an Abyssal Blade to go with his armlet now. A scary force indeed. 2,700 gold in the bank and to be able to grab that next big item before too long. Looks like SSD have all of their cooldowns up. Magnus has also picked up a Force Staff as well as a Shadow Blade, so some high mobility items there. They're looking for an opportunity to grab that big team fight, and if Virtus.pro aren't careful here, this could be the last team fight of the game. If SSD are able to catch 1 or 2 of them in a black hole or RP, grab those kills and just knock down this tier 3 tower, could end up being an easy push. Glyph is available though, something to keep in mind.
Pretty much exactly what you said. Just get 1 or 2 people in RP and or black hole, and it should be good.
Yep. So they're just gonna go.
Snake King's like, "Where's the RP? Where's the RP?"
Yep. Sneak King just tanking that tower. Looks like the tier 3 is gonna fall. They will save the glyph for the racks themselves. SSD playing this very smart. Not gonna overcommit. We're gonna wait for that next creep wave. I think.
Urns. Didn't they have an urn before? Oh, I guess not. He needs to go infest a big creep now.
Yeah. Let's see. There's an urn on the Abaddon. I don't think there's one on the Dire side. I don't see one. So, yeah.
Urn is really useful for situations like this, especially when you want to push, you're taking some spam damage, and you really want to go again because the opportunity isn't going to present itself for another few minutes. Even like a mech on him would be pretty useful. Enigma still has a mech. It would have been up almost by now too, so I'm surprised they didn't use that. They just need to continue this push going, use their ultimates, get a couple of kills. They have a sentry ward, but I don't really think it's going to stop them. They are split up pretty well right now, and really clutch sheep by OD or Astral may save the day, but it's really on SSD to mess this fight up.
Yep, and here we go. Initiation going to start on Abaddon. Definitely not the target they were looking for to start things off. OD going to burn the Sanity's Eclipse. Not going to do much damage at all. Timbersaw taking a lot of damage here. Rubik did get picked off by that Sanity's Eclipse. Black Hole going to be used on ars-art and Light of Heaven. Shockwave going to come in. Neither of them fall. The mech going to be able to pick them back up. They will grab a counter kill onto the Lifestealer. SSD not finding the fight they were looking for here. Now that the Aegis has been burned, Sneaking in big trouble. Down he goes. Come with me. Just going to try to pour it out.
Oh my goodness.
That was a 4-for-0 sweep. What happened?
That was a really nice wraparound by OD, and they just had really good execution there. Abaddon didn't get caught in the hole. He was able to keep Viper alive during it. Viper and CM are not the 2 heroes you want. You really want either one of Dro or OD, but they just split around and smoked around so well. He got the sheep on the Magnus, so he wasn't able to get a good RP off, and defensive Astral on Viper after the Abaddon heal, and VP has a pretty good shot at taking this game after that fight because now their ultimates are down for a really long time, and if they got a Roshan, I think they'd be in a much better situation, but now they get 4 kills, they get a ton of experience, they get 2 towers, and things are looking pretty nicely. The thing is, like, if SSD actually engages properly, then they'll be looking pretty good. They needed an uphill ward too. They didn't have an uphill ward.
Yep. There's a radiant ward here on the high ground, but yeah, no dire ward. So yeah, you're exactly right. Momentum swing going to come this way. OD going to be able to knock down that bottom tier 1 tower. So as you mentioned, 4 kills and then 3 towers to follow up. And almost more importantly, that tier 2 in the mid lane is really that primary access point that allows buybacks to be more effective, to get back into fights and that kind of stuff. So denying that access point going to help level out the map control a little bit. Virtus Pro all of a sudden with a momentum swing, still trailing by a pretty big margin. They're about 14,000 gold or so, 8,000 experience, but you know, they're definitely picking up some momentum here, and I think it's safe to say they've got the carry advantage between the Viper, OD, and Dro. If they keep up with this momentum, things could get scary for SSD.
I don't know why SSD is pushing without Black Hole, though. They should not push it. They just lost the fight with Black Hole, so I don't know what... Oh, there goes a RP on
right.
one.
RP going to be used on God. The skewer out.
Where's
God
the defensive
be in
Astral?
big trouble here. Down he goes. That Astral not going to come out as Merlini was hoping for. And now
yeah,
this
he had time for it.
could be a little bad for Virtus Pro. There is a buyback on OD, so he still has a little bit of breathing room. I think he's going to be forced to burn it, though. Yeah, he's going to burn it right away. And now SSD, are they going to commit to this, or are they just going to back out? No Black Hole, no RP.
Oh, what a
they need to
force
be a little
staff.
careful. Yeah, that force staff, beautiful on the Timber Saw. Zai going to be forced to commit suicide, compliments of the Bloodstone, and SSD going to head for the hills. So I guess they got what they came for. I mean, trading Timber Saw for OD is pretty good. They forced the buyback, and OD doesn't really have much to show for it. So pretty solid.
Yeah, it's really good for SSD. Now they just need to wait for RP to come up. They can wait for next Roshan if they really want to wait a few more minutes, but they don't have to. They can. That last fight, they shouldn't have dropped on the bottom T3. It was just poor execution. If they get the jump on VP, it's really easy, but VP got the jump on them with the OD wrapping around, and as long as SSD is prepared for that, maybe like fight during daytime or just blink skewer or blink RP skewer one of them, then they should be okay. As long as there's not like a ninja fast reaction from OD, defensive Astral on the RP hero, or even the Magnus itself or a sheep on him, then they should be okay.
Yep. And the symphony of dogs in the background, as always. You know, it really sucks when you have this many animals, because one barks and then all of the others think that they're barking at something. Then they just start barking at each other, and it's just pure chaos, man. It's all bad. But, so my apologies, folks, should clear up in a second. Lifestealer, though, does have a Demon Edge. An interesting choice.
I would like to see a
MKB?
Basher on him. Oh, wait, here he has an Abyssal.
Yeah, he's got the Abyssal.
Well, I guess he's expecting a Butterfly coming out from Dro, which she should have gotten. Instead, she went for Satanic. Not too sure on that. I mean, I guess it's nice for her to survive during the RP and or Black Hole. I don't know if that's going to be enough for her. She has 2,000 HP. She has a decent amount of armor, but Lifesteal just hits like a truck right now, especially with Empower.
Yeah. Yeah, the Satanic is a nice step in the right direction for the Dro. She does have a bit more survivability, but still, positioning is the biggest problem, because once she loses that range, loses that marksmanship damage, yeah, she's got some health, but she just stops hitting hard. She's got BKB and Satanic, 2 great items, but not really known for their damage output. So that marksmanship, really a big portion of how much damage she can put out. And also, you have to keep in mind, it's agility that she loses, not just damage. So that attack speed, that armor, everything else gets negated, not just raw plus 80 damage. So it's a little bit rough once she loses that marksmanship. But we'll see. SSD playing this pretty passive.
I think that's like
here.
one of the worst ultimates in the game right now, just because it has the potential to give you absolutely nothing. And the potential is like pretty high to give you absolutely nothing, because 400 AoE is pretty darn large. And there's just way too many things that can close the gap. So I would rate marksmanship very, very low on the potentness of ultimate.
Yeah,
potency rather.
I would agree with that. I'm hard pressed to think of an ultimate that's much worse. I guess maybe Stealth Assassin. His ult is
that's just ownage.
You're a fan of the invisibility.
SA owns permanent invis. Yeah,
it's pretty good.
I mean, it's
pretty
not that
easy
great
to
if they have a
counter,
gem, but like
yeah.
they've just nerfed detection so much. Well, Dust got buffed it a little bit, right? You can stack them now, and you can it slows people. But Sentry Ward range got nerfed. It still costs 200, which is pretty expensive compared to 150 from Zero Wards. Gem keeps getting nerfed and nerfed and nerfed. So I mean, I like it over marksmanship.
Okay.
I would definitely take permanent invis over marksmanship.
That was all I got, Merlini. That was my best guess as ultimate.
What else is pretty useless? I don't know. Library of useless ultimates.
Yeah. Nothing's coming to mind other than permanent invis. But yeah, I guess you're right. It has gotten steadily better since detection has been getting steadily kind of nerfed over the ages. So back in the day, though, maybe a little bit less.
Maybe Broodmothers is not that useful.
Okay.
That's like one of the not as useful ultimates, I'd say.
Yeah.
I hear BKB, come with me, BKBY.
Yeah,
Why come with me?
Not sure what that was. Epic misclick, perhaps. SSD looking to get aggressive, though. I mean, they are smoked up, trying to
Yeah,
make
but
something
they're
happen.
like
But
their T3 is getting focused, or right outside of T3, they know something's up. But
come with me. Almost getting caught right there. He's gonna blink out, but the entire team trying to
that
converge.
was a really
on top
good
of it.
timing for a gank. But the problem is, it's a good timing in the fact that it was right before Roshan, but it was bad in the sense that their bottom lane wasn't pushed out. And who's going to just let free damage go on their T3s if you aren't smoked? It's really obvious.
Yeah, so it looks like you were correct in the fact that SSD just going to wait for third Roshan, and it appears that the trend is going to keep up. The ward coverage right now for Virtus Pro is
Wow,
abysmal.
938 crit?
Wow, oh.
Dang. That is a lot. I mean, he did not need to go MKB because Drossel does not have her butterfly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you can get away with going just straight deeps, then why not? And this is, we saw a life stealer go just pure damage earlier today. There are situations for it, and there's situations aren't. And this one is definitely a situation where you can just get away with all damage. You have two big ultimates to back you up. You have an empower to stack even more nicely with your damage items. You are in a pretty dominating position. They don't really have that much they don't really have any anti-BKB rather. So this is the time for Class Cannon.
Yeah, pretty big crits coming out from that life stealer. All about the initiation, though. We're at that point, almost 40 minutes in. Initiation really is the key factor. Who can get that sheep stick?
But like VP, like who do they go on, right? If they sheep Magnus, Enigma blinks in BKB black holes. If they go on an Enigma, the same thing happens with Magnus. And all the meantime, they have a life stealer they have to worry about. So it's very difficult for VP. Like SSD shouldn't lose like a team fight that handily.
Yeah. Definitely true. I mean, I guess the target of choice has to be Enigma, because once he gets the BKB ultimate off, there's no stopping him, at least. And I mean, RP does have a slightly smaller radius than the black. Does it? Actually, maybe it doesn't. I'm looking at the radius now. It's a little larger than I thought it was. So, I don't know. Yeah, good question. Food for thought. I don't know who you go for. Whoever is in the worst position. How's that?
Yeah, whoever's in the worst position is definitely the best idea. Like, they can still kill the life stealer if he's beating on the tower. They have 3 range heroes that can do a fair amount of damage to him. Joe Ranger's right click is up to 300 right now.
Yeah.
And she attacks really, really fast. And Staking did go a Class Cannon build, so he is a little bit vulnerable to that. But if he just pops in and out when his rage is on cooldown or off cooldown, then he should be okay. And VP can't really farm anywhere right now as they're getting starved out by SSD.
Yep, absolutely. SSD know it. That's why they're in absolutely no hurry. They know the longer they spend just taking map control, farming out the Radiant neutrals, and then their own neutrals, while VP are stuck in their base, they are slowly but surely pulling ahead in this match. As big items continue to come out onto the field, Rubik now going to have himself a Vlad's to go with that Force Staff. I think a very warranted item choice here, especially when you have a life stealer on the field. Get him a little bit of extra life steal. Ooh, and a double damage rune going to spawn. Perhaps this is that window of opportunity SSD we're hoping for, though. Not sure that they're going to be able to.
Rage will take off DD and Empower, so it's not that useful. But those are big crits, though.
I always forget about that.
Two-shot that camp.
Yeah, I always forget Rage takes off runes.
They can push now. They have what, a 3.5 minute window until the Aegis is down.
Yeah.
So they can definitely push with that. I mean, that's like 2 black holes.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I hope they just don't have that engaged like last time. We thought that last push was going to be the end of the game, and somehow Virtus Pro made it happen with losing no one in exchange for everyone of SSD. So I see why SSD are playing this so passively. They're afraid to have that low ground disadvantage. And, have a repeat of that last team fight. If the same thing happens again, Virtus Pro have that pushing power to just go straight through the mid lane and possibly even win the game. We're at that point where heroes just do so much more damage relative to structures. So
Radiant's top tower is
time
under
will
attack.
tell. Looking at the current gold, though, a lot of gold being pulled up right now. What button is that? Shit, which one is current gold?
It is T.
T. That's the button I'm looking for. The only one I didn't hit. So yeah, a lot of gold pulled up right now. That means buybacks will be a reality in this upcoming team fight. Basically, Viper, Timbersaw, and the supports are the only ones without a large pool of gold amassed here. But those kind of core heroes, even if they get picked off without their cooldowns being used, they will be able to buy back and hopefully get back to the fight. Of course, positioning does become an issue, but more stuff to keep in mind for this pending fight here. 23 kills in 41 minutes, both sides being very cautious.
SSD can farm refreshers if they want, so they're not under any timeline to push. And I mean, we already talked about like blink BKB hole, blink BKB and 2 black holes. You can just forget about VP's chances in the late game if SSD continues to starve them out. If they manage to maybe get some pickoffs with Sheep, they can get back into the game, but it's still just not easy for them. They haven't been able to go on the offensive at all.
Yeah. And I'm looking at Come With Me here. How close is he to the refresher? He's got about 5,000 gold in the bank, but probably going to want to pool up to have enough to deal with a potential death loss worth of gold, and then enough to have buyback as well. So probably going to be playing it safe. He is going to grab something, spend a little bit of that money. I don't know what it was, but he picked up something. Oh, uh-oh, God, down in the bottom lane. He's going to get caught. Oh, no. This could be the opportunity that SSD are looking for here. They're going to push forward. Abaddon maybe in a little bit of trouble as well. ars-art going to try to force staff backwards. And there is going to be an aggressive astral imprisonment from Rubik onto the Abaddon. He's going to fall. Gematrucite going to be on the ground. No one going to be too concerned about it. It is just going to stay on the ground for now. Come With Me now going to hop forward. It is a 5v4 on the field right now. Instant buyback from OD. But that is one buyback burned, and SSD being one step closer to taking this match. They still have the Aegis in tow in the inventory of that Life Stealer. There is a glyph available, so that is going to buy Virtus Pro a little bit of time here. Baden going to be up in about 20 seconds. They need to be very careful how they want to go about this. No, Black Hole going to be used, going to catch the Dro Ranger as well as the Viper there. No kills going to come out right away, but still going to buy them some time. Uh-oh, SSD in a little bit of trouble here. They're going to go into retreat mode. They're going to give Dro the space she needs to get that bit of extra damage. OD almost going to fall, going to make himself into an Astral with about 25 hit points to spare, but now they're going to get turned around on. OD going to fall. Dro Ranger going to fall as well, going to buy back right away. OD the only one dead right now. SSD still with all 5 alive. Sneaking did use that Aegis to its fullest potential, pop back up with full HP, and that's really what's allowed SSD to maintain any kind of longevity in this fight. 17-10, 45 minutes in. SSD looking like they may be able to secure a victory here without that OD up for another 70 seconds. Virtus Pro going to be hard-pressed to defend this, and there it is. Viper going to get caught. He's going to fall. Viper going to be stuck without buyback. It's going to be a 5v2 on the field for another 50 seconds.
They have RP up now. RP up on Dro, and
no.
it's game over. So, yeah, VP, I mean, they were very far behind, 25,000 gold, but they had that one good hold. But yeah, all SSD had to do was just execute okay. Not even, like, decent, just execute, like, okay. I mean, they executed very well in that last fight, but it was very difficult for them to drop this game.
There it is. The RP, Skewer Blink going to be used onto the Dro. She's going to get dropped like a sack of bricks into a river, and the rest of the team going to fall shortly after here. JOTM may survive, compliments that borrowed time. Again, that stolen Astral Imprisonment coming in handy right there. Crystal Maiden will make it back to the well, so she will be the lone survivor here, the lone defender of the Ancient. And I think we are just moments from a GG. Super strong Dinosaurs looking very powerful indeed. Lifestealer going to be able to grab himself an Aegis, or not an Aegis, an Assault Kuros. I did get a little nervous in that fight though, Merlini. When Sneaking was running from the Dro, that made me a little bit nervous. If they didn't have the Aegis there, I think that fight may have gone a bit differently.
Yeah, but I mean, they can pass the cheese too if they wanted to. There's just so much that SSD has going for them. Oh, Snaking may drop.
Uh-oh, Outworld Devourer gonna get caught in a solo black hole. Down he goes now. Oh, Light of Heaven, that's going to be a skewer away from the well. Not the way he wanted to be going. Thrown alive with 100 hit points. They're going for the heroes. There we go. Finally going to finish it off. So that was
Come With These items were ridiculous. He had, like, Midas, Blink, BKB, Sheep, Refresher at the end.
Dude, his farm was next level. Look at his GPM. 625 GPM on an Enigma. On par with a Midas Lifestealer who was free farming for most of the game. His farm was nuts. It was insane. 2-1 and 13. That's a 6-slotted Enigma. I mean, yes, you could sell the Midas, but whew. All right, showing us that Enigma definitely still has a place in competitive Dota in the proper situation here. That was game 3 of 5, though, guys. Thank you for joining us for Starladder Season 8, Day 4. I'm Zyori. With me is Merlini here. We got Power Rangers versus 4 Friends and Krilly coming up in a jiff.